Is something wrong?
Monsieur Neuvillette and Lady Furina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute. Please go see for yourself.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
You mean... they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 feature different images that seem to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Furina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as well as do nothing following your inquiries. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very inconsistent.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type.
You...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me, your Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Did Furina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling. She didn't seem in the mood to care if we were listening in or not.
Furina no se dio cuenta de que estamos en la puerta. ¿Se puede saber qué le pasa? Estaba sonriendo y no parecía importarle que estuviéramos escuchando a escondidas. ¿Está ocultando algo a propósito?
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh, you noticed. Seems Furina didn't even realize we were here.
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again, a state of affairs that we cannot allow to continue. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage?
No lo entiendo. Si el diálogo es la base de toda comunicación, ¿por qué se negaba una y otra vez a hablar? La mejor interrogarla no era la mejor aproximación. Furina se tiene que dar cuenta por sí misma de la gravedad del asunto.
Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless absolutely forced to. We may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh? Like what?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
But Furina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do what we can. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so we must take a chance on this.
Sé que es cruel para con ella, pero Fontaine está ante una gravedad crisis y la información de una diosa es demasiado importante y valiosa como para dejarlo pasar. Tendremos que correr el riesgo. En ese caso necesitaremos tu ayuda.
But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
¿Quién estaría dispuesto a ayudarnos? Creo que conozco algunas personas que podrían ayudarnos.
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That naturally makes it the best choice.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what families should do. Sit and enjoy a leisurely time together.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me? No, I don't think I can.
Then, how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful, the spotlight at last. I guess I'll be facilitating things from here.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, has brought us together to discuss something. As for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to create a series of traps.
Oh, how intriguing.
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Chlorand, and used on the spot. So, let's invite her to explain in detail. A round of applause, please.
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might even pick up some fancy oratory tricks to impress your boss with in the future.
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette, Oh, right. You were sick that day, weren't you?
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before. Does that count?
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters. Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. They even left a unique methodology of hunting in their wake. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. Sometimes a lethal implement will also be necessary to deal with the prey. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now. What would you choose to build it with?
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait and naturally enter the snare. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can count on our techniques.
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime. I'm quite the multitasker if I do say so myself.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water and waiting for the fish to come within reach. That's the kind of method I would count on.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch loads of fish.
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract others of their kind. I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough, animals of the same kind will follow them all the way to the trap.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you, monsieur. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey. A more gentle trap would be ideal.
Kind, as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the containment device and the type of implement we need. If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Wait, why's that?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it. The line that divides life and death is often exceedingly thin.
So are we going hunting together?
Huh. We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters. It kinda works, but maybe it's still not the best metaphor.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually quite accurate. But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Para juzgar a una diosa sentada en su trono necesitaremos 100 veces más valentía que para cazar, así es.
Oh, so that's what's going on. Sounds very interesting.
Vea la base de espina de Rúsula.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening.
¿Qué días tan intensos? Han ocurrido tantas cosas. ¿Esas reuniones me han dado un hambre?
Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised.
Paimon pensó que al menos se asustarían. Bueno, es cierto que Fremine sí se asustó, pero los demás solo parecían sorprendidos. ¿Te sientes con más confianza ahora, Paimon?
Well, it's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, Paimon sure will do great. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Huh?
Porque por mucho que Paimon pueda confiar en los demás, tú eres el quien más confía, jeje. ¿Qué pasa?
Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing that at all.
Te acabas de servir un poco de té. Paimon no se había dado cuenta. No, ¿qué va?
Then what's that?
Será el fantasma.
Never seen that cup before?
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea.
I merely refrained from saying anything till now.
Who's that voice? But there's no one here!
Aw, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. Though, not completely wrong. You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously.
Igual que la
I
última...
sensed that confusion and thus came to you. Guiding people is an irresistible hobby of mine, after all.
Igual que la última vez, se siente perdidos y al sentirlo he venido hasta aquí. Al fin y al cabo, guiar a los demás es una afición irresistible para mí. ¿Quién eres y qué quieres de nosotros?
Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim.
Solo pasaba por aquí porque me apetecía aceptar el encargo de la discípula de una amiga. Me gustaría preguntarte algo sobre la profecía.
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed?
¿No será la maestra de Mona? Porque es bruja N. Ya has visto con tus propios ojos un intento fallido. ¿De verdad crees que las cosas en Teiva pueden cambiar tan fácilmente? Otra vez es el destino.
Ah, so you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also sounds kinda scary.
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice. It's gone. What? I hear someone talking. Alright, coming.
Está bien, Paimon, ya va. ¿Qué trabajadora te has vuelto, Paimon?
Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona!
Mona, ¿qué tal estos días, Mona?
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more interesting than I expected. Not all Fontanians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat with her.
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte. You remember her, right? That daredevil journalist. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few words?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Ah, yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. I'll try again tonight, but I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Por cierto, ¿se acuerdan de lo que me pidieron? He intentado contactar con la anciana, pero de momento no he podido. Esta noche volveré a intentarlo, pero mejor no se hagan ilusiones. En realidad, alguien ha venido a visitarnos.
Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
Por los 7, ¿se hablan en serio? Imagino que vino a transmitirnos un mensaje.
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost. But I've never met her, and if she were still alive, she'd be... well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Whoa, the Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group. But they must really stay in shape to live so long.
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though, so perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler, Paimon, are you two all right?
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is coming, you know?
I see. I feel that same sense of desperation, too. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. So far as I have seen, it cannot be swayed. But even so, I still hope for, and believe in, miracles. Astrology is eternal and rational, but fate may not be. It is cruel, but it can also be beautiful. Perhaps that's what N was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set in stone. I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone. If we don't struggle to the last, then how can we face the end when it comes?
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about work-related stuff... I need to get going.
Mírenme, otra vez hablando de grandes verdades de la astrología. Perdone, no puedo evitar hacer al hablar de mi trabajo. Bueno, tengo que irme. No te preocupes, Mona, y gracias.
It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. But also kind of sad, too. Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels like going outside for a walk. Let's go.
Ah, tenemos que ir al kiosco, ¿por qué?
Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper. What's going on?
¿Por qué pone nuestro nombre en este periódico? ¿Nos hemos hecho famosos sin saberlo?
Let Paimon see! The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy. But that does not mean that others cannot interact with it. My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report, a blonde adventurer with their white fairy legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious traveler once visited the underwater fortress. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades. Journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead?
¿Cómo no ha podido averiguar nada sobre el fuerte Meropide? No está usando como tema de su artículo porque somos más fáciles de encontrar. Eso parece.
Seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool, so Paimon will forgive her this time. Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition only 16 slices a day cake!
La tarta de la que solo venden 16 trozos al día y aún no se ha agotado.
It the tense situation we were in. Let's give it another go. I'm sure it'll be great.
La última vez que la comimos estamos en una situación muy tensa y aún así se veía genial. Seguro que hoy nos sabrá aún mejor. Rápido, antes de que alguien se nos adelante.
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all. Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalette was right. You really can eat.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe the waters will rise tomorrow. You know, like in the prophecy.
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow, that wouldn't keep me from having some today. No, it's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on. That's what people call living, you know.
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us things about humans. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily, yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food. So please try the cakes here. I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right? Bye.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. I'm unsure this cake will be delicious. It's more delicious than last time, and the flavor gets even better with a sip of tea. It sure would be nice if we could come again tomorrow. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food here. We're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve! You just used us to make some quick mora!
Pero bueno, nos usaste para ganar moras. ¿Dónde está la parte que nos corresponde?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't receive it, though. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some food.
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary Traveler and Paimon?
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
Claro que no, ese artículo solo documentaba sus aventuras, pero no era una entrevista directa. Me gustaría entrevistarlos al detalle para que me cuenten su experiencia y todo lo que han visto en su viaje. ¿De verdad quieres entrevistarnos?
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow, what would you do today?
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I've never once thought that the day could be tomorrow. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake my homeland that easily. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job, and I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. I guess you could say that I was born to be a journalist. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
That's so nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking.
Llame, Paimon está pensando en qué.
If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do? No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to do? We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot.
Siempre hemos estado yendo de un lugar a otro, así que nos hemos tenido tiempo de pensar en ese tipo de cosas, pero tampoco hemos tenido por qué hacerlo. Simplemente avanzamos en nuestro camino, y seguiré haciéndolo hasta que ese día llegue.
You mean, still traveling?
Seguirás viajando, sí, apreciando cada segundo.
Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing? Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough. But it's still better than the Fortress of Meropide, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty too.
Ah, so the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to the Fortress of Meropide.
Sí, soy Isadora. Su señoría Neuvillette me mandó venir a buscarlos en otra ocasión. Oí que después de eso fueron al fuerte Meropide. ¿Y pensabas que éramos fugitivos?
Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here to pass along a message from him.
No, sé muy bien que son amigos de su señoría. De hecho, esta vez también vengo para darle un mensaje de parte de él. Somos todo oídos.
Yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
A riot?
Well, that said, I don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Furina was watching a performance at the Opera House, and while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly started harassing her, loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis. And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
So people have started to put the blame on Furina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first to be blamed.
So what happened after that? Is Furina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry. The Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Furina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Marechaussee has dispatched many people to search for her, but we don't have any leads yet. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters, what could ordinary people do to her?
En mi opinión, no hay nada de qué preocuparse. Al fin y al cabo se trata de una diosa, aunque esté en las manos de esa muchedumbre furiosa. ¿Qué podrían hacer unas personas corrientes como ellas? Ya veo.
Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't say anything else.
Don't worry, this is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Ah, is that so? Well, all right then. In that case, you two take care. I'll be heading back to the palais now.
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then.
Bien, no hay tiempo que perder. Es hora de ir a Poisson. Qué claras tienen las cosas, Paimon.
If we know Furina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervillet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the public today. Paimon thinks Furina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to relieve the sense of guilt that she's feeling. Huh! Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back it up too. Cool, huh?
Han visto, Paimon no solo sabe la respuesta, sino que también es capaz de analizar la situación. A que Paimon es genial, desde luego no eres la misma cuando te convertiste en la detective Paimon.
In that case, there's not a moment to lose. Poisson, here we come!
A ver, ¿qué misión más? Busca Furina en Poisson. La profecía se cumplirá, pero ya han ideado un plan. Ahora solo queda juzgar a una diosa.
This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Furina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Furina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Mira, es Furina, con que sí que estaba aquí ella sola. No abres muy alto.
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Furina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry, but what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over?
No sé qué más hacer aparte de pedir disculpas, Furina.
Who's that?
Don't worry, Furina. It's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
Furina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them too.
Y seguro que Neuvillette y los de la Gendarmería Fantasmal también están que echan humo por las orejas, jajaja. Deja de fingir, Furina.
Of course not.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Furina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line because they haven't been able to meet me in person, aren't they? That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Furina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Furina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you.
What is this place?
Hurry, they're almost here.
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Paimon's exhausted.
I'm so tired. I totally thought they had caught me. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
No, quiero decir, casi sucumbo ante su efusivo entusiasmo, jaja. No abres tan alto, Furina, podrían descubrirnos.
You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking. Is it an earthquake?
¿Pero qué? ¿Qué fue ese temblor? Un terremoto. A lo mejor es otra catástrofe.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this time.
Yeah, I hope you're right. But the people of Poisson, they've already... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled.
No podemos enemistarnos contra el orden celestial. Es más, lo que vaticina la profecía al final se cumplirá, pero aún así no te has rendido.
Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free.
Rendirse, qué palabra tan bonita. Significará que por fin acepto el destino y que por fin puedo ser libre, pero también significará que no hay nada, ninguna esperanza.
Indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
No tenemos mucho tiempo, tengo que preguntarle algo más si no habremos avanzado en nada. Furina, no hace falta que cargues tú solo con todo esto. Si tu pueblo supiera la verdad, querían compartir la carga contigo.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
No puedo hacer eso. Desde el principio he estado destinada a cargar con esta responsabilidad yo sola. Aunque no puedas compartirla, sí puedes contarme qué es. Cuéntamelo, seré tu testigo.
A witness. Yes. I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Furina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Furina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice! One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words, this shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Furina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Acusación, por favor. Yo seré tu rival.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent.
No lo hacen largo. No sé por qué, ¿ah?
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
No me digas que vas a responder las
I
preguntas
can
que
go
te
over the
da.
tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean, the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Araneas. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Furina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Exacto, no era ningún otro desastre. Te engañé.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Cloran, And I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Y finalmente te mostrarías como la acusación en un duelo contra mí. Te equivocas.
Oh?
Mi misión era hacer el último intento. Queríamos que no dijera de lo que sabes antes de que llegáramos al tribunal.
Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte!
¿De hace rato está en la primera fila?
Oh, Lev Hymansi! Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument!
Y que cuando queríamos usar como prueba alguna experiencia o incidente que hayamos vivido, podremos usar esta entrevista como cuaderno de pista. Nunca pensé que podría tener eso en uso.
Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Furina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah, even though Lady Furina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Furina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives. What do you say to that?
Huh. An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Furina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Un argumento sin casi ninguna posibilidad de ganar. No solo tendrá que refutar a Furina, sino también hacer que los ciudadanos pongan sus creencias en duda. La gente cree que eres un arconte porque lo han creído así desde hace tiempo.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?